Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 4 of Reiki Rockstar series. And we are featuring Andrea Groves. And she's somebody that I've known for a few years, and we've actually done some pretty cool stuff together. She was only the second person that expressed an interest to teach my modality, Angelic Liquid Light Healing. And first of all, she did the 45-day mantra process that you have to do. It's a Sanskrit mantra, Mahakali mantra. And she completed that in 45 days. And, Andrea is a woman that once she gets interested in something and really wants to do it, she's going to go all out. And that's something I really admire about her. And that's something that really permeates her life. And she's more than just an angelic light teacher. She's a Reiki teacher, and she is also a Pachakuti Mesa shamanist, and has really been doing so much with her healing abilities and her commitment to serving the greater good and with various forms of energy healing. So, welcome, Andrea. It's wonderful to have you
Thank you, Jordy. I'm
on
really
board.
excited about this. It's wonderful to be here with you in this space. We're a little, we're across the state from each other, so it's wonderful that we can connect in this way, almost as if we're sitting in each other's living rooms. And so, yeah, I'm excited to share and to get some good information. And also, I'm putting the intention that the energy that is coming through my voice, my vocal cords, is also sending healing in the form of all the modalities that I have: the angelic liquid light, Reiki, and also the shamanic healing energy. So anyone receiving or watching this can shut their eyes down and just soak in and take in some of the medicine that's flowing.
I love that. And, Andrea and Andrea, please, can you tell me again how to
Yes, my
correctly?
name is pronounced Andrea.
Andrea. Yeah, I've been calling her Andrea for a long time. And before we started, she said, "Listen, for this, I want you to say it the way it really should be." And Andrea, yeah, and uh, you know, Andrea and I channel the Angelic Light free sessions, the free freedom sessions, every new moon, every full moon, and every equinox and solstice. And of course, we have the winter solstice coming up. And she's been doing this with me for, oh gosh, more than 2 years, I think it is by now.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we got in touch with each other in the beginning of 2023. Yeah, so yeah, it's been a few years. Nice.
Um, and she is, there's a lot of people on my team that are kind of all over the United States. I call it the A team, the angel team. And many of them I've never met in person, but Andrea, I have. And Andrea came to New York City with her two daughters, and we were able to spend some time together in Manhattan. And it was really cool just to meet you in person. And by the time we did that, I realized this woman is amazing. And she had taken Angelica with Light with me, and as I was getting to know her, I really just love the way that she works and her commitment to this work, and just her personality in general. So Andrea is a real kind of soul sister to me. I feel a very close affinity with her and a connection spiritually. So it's great to have you on board. And I want to, this episode to be a chance for you to share about your work and how you got started. And, and I'm really interested to know more about your Pachakuti Mesa work, your shamanic work. Advocate of shamanism, and I've had my own studies and my own, experiences with the shamanic community. And I think that's something that's really um, wonderful, that shamanic values and shamanic teachings and shamanic practices have become so popular since I was young. And it was really my generation, the hippie generation, the baby boom generation, that kind of, started this whole revival of natural medicine and healing and shamanism, and also the spiritual paths to enlightenment, which Reiki and Angelic Liquid Light really are fall into that category, because they are more than just a way of channeling healing energies, but it's a way of life, actually. And and I know that Andrea is like really aware of that, and walks the talk in her life. But so if you were going to tell us how you got started, where would you start in terms of your path of healing, awakening, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so I can pinpoint sort of when it became aware that I was sort of looking to open up and get in touch with my spiritual self was around 2010. I was in a really tough relationship, married, and was just finding myself very lost within that, and because of that being lost, I felt invisible. I felt like no one could see me. I felt like I was existing just to be, just to serve my children and then husband, and really had no life, so to speak. And I attribute my awakening to a couple of different things. I had in 2010, I had someone who actually saw me, right? I actually like looked in their eyes and I saw them see me, right? We talk about the eyes are the seat of the soul, and it was almost like this lightning strike of like, wow, like I just felt so electrified and so wanting to be alive. And that was really the catalyst that jump started a lot. Right from there, I went into this deep, intense period of just worshiping the sun. I just, every moment I could get outdoors and I could just, turn my face to the sun. I recognize now I was pulling in the light codes and absorbing and getting as much information as I could. I thought I was going a little bit crazy, right? And I had a few friends that I could talk about this to. And through their support, little by little, I was finding these new opportunities and these new um, uh, uh, avenues that started coming my way. So that was like a 4-year period of sort of not really knowing what I was going to do with my spiritual self. And in 2014, I found or Reiki found me, and I really truly believe that, because I was gifted the opportunity to become a Reiki channeler, which 11 years ago, and I had never even felt Reiki. I had no idea what I was stepping into. My One of my soul sisters, she's actually family, basically. She's the mother of my niece. I'll give her a shout out, Melanie Rimkus. She was my Reiki Master teacher, and she offered this to me. And that sort of, started the ball rolling from there. So, and every opportunity that I could get, I just wanted more and more of all of the good juju.
That is amazing. I never knew that you had this connection with the sun, but of course, I'm not surprised, because one thing, I've got to know you pretty well, and now I'm getting to know you even better. But you have the other recently, I don't remember, a few weeks ago, I said, I think you have an indigenous soul, because it's just so natural for you to have this connection with nature, and you have a natural groundedness and a natural connection with the natural world that is really admirable, and that is you know in this day and age, it's scary, because people, like young kids, don't even play outside that much anymore. It's like, what the hell has happened? It's crazy. When I grew up, we'd go outside and play every day. And Mom, I'm going out to play. You know, okay, just be home in time for dinner. And we would run around, and we love to play in the woods, and ride bicycles and play sports and everything. These days, kids are just like, pretty messed up, because they are on their smartphone. They're playing video games, and yeah, and then you have to have a play date, you know. Yeah, and you have the helicopter moms. It's like it's kind of crazy, but
Yeah.
but that the fact that you had that connection with the sun, I mean, that is so deeply spiritual. And so, because the sun is the source of light for it, the sun is, it's like water. Without water and the sun and Mother Earth, we don't exist.
Right.
Uh, that is, thanks so much for sharing that. It's so beautiful. And that's one thing that, especially during the pandemic, I just kept reminding everybody, make sure you get outside, because we were locked down,
Yeah.
and on Zoom, and listening to the stupid TV telling us that, oh, it was driving me crazy. And I kept telling people, make sure you get outside in the fresh air, out of the Wi-Fi, and get some sun every day if you can, because that is one of the best things for your health. People think they have to spend all this money and do all these crazy things.
Right.
Just take a walk outside and breathe the air, and like, thank the sun for giving.
Yeah.
That is just so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I also didn't know that it was actual and a relative of yours that you got your Reiki training from. That's amazing. And so that was 11 years ago,
Yep.
2014.
Yep.
So after you got the training, how did that go? Did you just take level one and then wait?
Actually, it was offered. She offered it in level 1 and 2 together, which I know a lot of uh, practitioners have done that. And then it was literally like, again, like it was just like this flowering, this opening up of like, wow, this is like I can do this. And so over the next 6 months, I practiced as much as I could. I would be, I didn't necessarily know if I was going to, do this as a practice, for clients, or I kind of felt like I knew that this was a path of service that really called to me, but it wasn't really formed. So I just spent as much time as I could with friends, family. Hey, you want to try this new, tricky trick thing that I do that I can do? My hands get real hot, get real relaxed, right? So, and I would send distance healing to, I would go in the shower and I would do a distance healing practice. And I thought, how beautiful. I have to be in the shower for this X amount of time. And again, I the connection to the water, right? So you brought in how powerful, you said water and sun earlier, and these are the two elements that literally basically, they fuel my soul to the core. And so I would, practice and do all that. I did my Reiki 3 teacher practitioner training about 6 months later. So I became a practitioner teacher in June of 2014. But I will tell you, it's super interesting. So, and then I did walk into, having this be part of like, I'm going to do this, right? I'm going to create a practice. I'm going to offer this to people for, for an exchange, for Aini, for sacred reciprocity. And every step of the way, the difficult parts, and then the parts where like I just loved giving the energy, right? So all of it was teaching me and leading me to where I am now, but also like I'm not done, right? I'm still continuing to move forward, and it's still an evolution. So yeah, and I went through some really dark stuff during that time frame. I ended up actually, I got a DWI in 2015. That was the time frame when I was going through the breakup of my marriage. I had teenage kids at home. I was, trying to juggle a regular full-time job, trying to, discover my own spirituality. And, I grew up in a household and with a family that knew how to use alcohol to cope. And as a coping mechanism, right? So I was on my way of becoming, possibly that alcoholic route. And I will honestly tell you, spirit came in and would not allow. I feel very called to just share this. Like there was a time when during that episode, I was driving. I should never have gotten behind the wheel, but I was ready to lay it down. I was ready to just say, I'm done. I don't want to be here anymore. I am ready to let this go. And I remember clearly the moment that I made that decision and I put my foot down on the gas pedal, and I was like literally just going to close my eyes, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen. The second that my foot hit the gas pedal, I saw red and blue lights behind me. And I knew instantaneously spirit was saying, no way, sister. No way are you taking the easy way out. No way. You have work to do. And so I had to go through that learning. I had to go through all of that, right? It was one of the most uh, devastating experiences. My children had to go through this with their mom, knowing that their mom, is infallible, right? I'm human. And it also taught me so much. And my kids didn't hate me. People still supported me. And I paid my dues to society in every sense of the way, for that situation. And I am grateful to the fact that everything happened and unfolded the way it did. I could write a book about that entire experience on how spirit was there. Um, but just, I know even the officer that arrested me, I give him gratitude every day. I thank him. He was humane. He was a good person, right? Like, and in my state, I still recognized all of this. So yeah, so that was a dark period that I had to go through, and I had to go through that. It helped me to see what the path that was not meant for me. So
You know,
yeah.
that that's thank you for sharing that. It takes courage, and I really respect you for sharing that. And um, this is I'm getting to know you better than I realized. We did a 9-month apprenticeship together, and by that time, all what you just shared, that was way behind you. But thank you so much for sharing this, because that's what I want to do with these videos, is to be transparent and to really share, not put up some kind of front like, now this my life is amazing. But no, it's healers. This is what healers go through. You know, um, my story is like yours. I mean, I got arrested, and that's what eventually got me back to what I was really came here in this world to do. I had an addiction problem myself, and when I got arrested, I thought it was the worst thing to happen to me. Now I realize it was like one of the best things that happened to me, and because that's what it took to get me into recovery. And then I got into recovery, and in a very short period of time, I found Reiki, and that was the beginning of a whole new life for me. That is literally was beyond my wildest dreams. And the 20 some years I've been doing this, it's like I look back on it, it's like, how the hell have I been able to do all this amazing stuff? Well, I didn't do it. You know, I got out of the way, and
Right.
Great Spirit started to use me. Yeah. And it's I'm getting really emotional. I get really emotional. Thanks for sharing that, because that's a big part of the healer's journey. And now I realize that going through the addiction stuff, that was a part of my spiritual path too. That was a huge learning, a huge lesson for me. Now I can help other people. That was part of my boot camp. Now I can help other people, and help them save themselves,
Yeah.
from that loss of our true identity. It's like that's the greatest tragedy in the world, is when people forget that we have a divine immortal spirit soul that never dies, and we have gifts. We have treasure within us. Like the most valuable treasure in the world is within us.
Yeah.
you know? And to be able to recover that, that's it. That's the only game in town.
Right.
It's because if we lose ourselves, if we lose conscious contact, this is a 12-step thing, conscious contact with your higher power. You know, you lose that and you're in deep trouble. And life is not worth living if you don't have that.
And I will
But
say, I'll preface this, and I know we'll talk about this in a little bit, but that is also part of like the shamanic path, right? Is it's about remembering who we are, right? And even if it's at the just the scratch level, just uncovering who we are and at our personal level, but also as it gets deeper and deeper, and we recognize like all things are connected. I'm connected to that person, to you, to every single being on this planet, right? And we have, and it's a case of severe forgetfulness. So really, like the work that you and I are doing, and everyone that is in this work of service, is about helping others to remember exactly who they are and what they're meant to be doing here on planet.
right. And when we remember who we are, there's nothing to fix because there's nothing intrinsically wrong with us, you know. And
Yeah.
I heard, so I think it was Jody Sirota, who's a very well-known energy worker here in New York City, and uh, she was the first one that I heard say, "You are not broken and need to be fixed. You're a whole and just need to remember." And that is that's it's really simple. That's what the problem is, and that's what the solution is. And it's such an honor to be able to have our own remembrance and to come back into our true natural self, which you can't lose that actually, and I tell people it's like your true natural divine immortal spirit soul, it never dies. You can never lose that. It's impossible. um
Right.
you know but everything that we identify with that we're not, that can all be shed, that can all be let go of, um because
Exactly.
we take on um ways of being and bad habits and all these issues, and we start to identify with our issues and not with what we really are, and to recover, recovery of our true natural selves is so
Yeah.
beautiful. So uh it is liberation, is awakening, and
Absolutely.
Reiki is a path to awakening. It is a spiritual practice that of enlightenment, and that's what our that guy
Yeah.
that yeah.
I, I just, not to interrupt you, I just have this came to me more recently, that Reiki is actually a form of shamanism, right? Like it's sort of like like a laser beam focused part of of a shamanic tradition, but really, right, everything that we believe and that we're taught in the precepts and all of the, the bringing forth and how it came about, it's really its own form of shamanism. And that was really a revelation to me to see it that way. And that came really very recently, probably within the last 3 months or so, that I was like, heck, no wonder like the other areas of shamanism have opened up to me, because Reiki is itself a part of a shamanic tradition. So yeah, I think that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I love that. And that's one of the unique things that I think as Americans living in America, which the whole purpose of this country is to welcome people from all over the world so that we can all learn to live together. And we get to tap into so many different streams of teachings. And I mean, I've been experiencing that my whole life, especially since my teens in the 60s, when this whole that really was the beginning of the Aquarian Age, was back in the early 60s, 1962, 1963. There's this incredible astrological alignment
Mm.
with like all these planets in Aquarius. And and we had the songs and the music and the culture, and we wanted to become enlightened. We were very interested in the Eastern teachings that were more focused on enlightenment, because we weren't finding that in the watered down spirituality of Western religion, which became very sort of uh, compromised in a lot of ways. And we were looking for something that you could really feel and experience and to that would really give us a sense of purpose and identity and the I remember reading the Carlos Castaneda books, which most of the young people never even heard of this guy. But that guy went to Mexico and studied with a shaman in Mexico, and his books sold millions and millions and millions of copies. And I mean, to this day, they're some of the greatest books that I've ever read. I mean,
Wow.
for all through the 70s, I was just waiting for the next good album to come out and the next Carlos Castaneda book to come out. And that was like the big deal. Did you get his latest book yet? Oh my God, what they're doing is amazing. But that was everything that's like huge now. Everybody wants to take ayahuasca. It's the coolest thing. And there people are going to, the Central America and to I did it in Peruvian Amazon with Healer to Healer. It's but shamanism is much more than the sacred medicines. There's shamanic traditions that don't do any of that stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's the attraction to a lot of Western people is they want to take that drug. And yeah,
Right.
that's a beautiful thing, but that's not something to play with. It's not to get
Right.
high. That is a medicine, and it's a very powerful medicine. And you need to do it with somebody that really knows what they're doing, that's worked with the traditional, tribal shamans. And I had the experience of being able to do that with Roman Hannes, and Roman has the number one best-selling book now in the shamanic category on Amazon. And
Wow.
the work that he has done is just incredible. And he doesn't keep any of the money, any of the proceeds from that book. It all goes to the Yagawa tribe, And
Amazing.
I was able to hang out with. He was in New York a couple of weeks ago, and we spent a whole afternoon together. And it was like, and I hadn't seen this guy since 2011, but it was like a long lost brother, and we just were talking and sharing and it was just an amazing experience, but that's one of the just incredible things I've been able to do since I got in recovery and got the training and got the working with being in the Peruvian Amazon and also working with the Mayans, the Mayan elders in Guatemala and doing ceremonies at Tikal at the pyramids. I mean, it's just like and that, one of my biggest dreams when I first started practicing Reiki was to do international healing work, and especially in places where there was like, war and trauma, and I end up going to Guatemala. Literally, this just fell in my lap. This opportunity to go to Guatemala, which is a deeply traumatized country. 30 years of civil war in Guatemala, you know,
Wow. Yeah.
and to this day. I mean, the two groups I've done the work with there. Now everybody else wants to go to Guatemala. We started this trend. Everybody wants to go to Guatemala and do free clinics there.
Good, right? We
Uh,
need
but
we need to have more pioneers, right? To
yeah,
get the
yeah,
medicine flowing.
and that talk about like things turning out better than you could have imagined. That's the story of my life since I got in recovery. It's just like you can't make this stuff up. How could that have happened? It all happened because I learned how to stay out of my own freaking way. And
Yep.
let go and let God go with flow and just stay in and Reiki just, I remember after I took level 3, it's like everything became so much easier in my life. Stuff didn't bother me anymore. I just had this level of inner peace that, yeah, sometimes you get, frustrated or angry or something, but I could always just pull myself back into center,
Right.
Everything got so much more effortless and easy. And was that your experience? Now, when you took level 1 and 2, and then the you got the master symbol and
Yep.
learned to give the attunements.
Correct. Yes. So
So you
I had I got all my training in just two separate classes. And I have to say that I felt it was an interesting experience because I felt a little bit of the imposter syndrome when I got the Reiki Master symbol, the teach, to be able to teach. And it wasn't until almost 10 years later that I actually attuned my first Reiki student. Like I just never, I felt like there's no way I have the ability to do this. How, I just felt so inferior. And it was actually, I want to give a shout out to Barbara Hallman. She became a mentor in about, I think in 2016. And she's the one who actually got me on my shamanic path toward the PMT, the Pachakuti Mesa tradition lineage. And she was the catalyst to, like, she point blank said to me, she said, Andrea, why are you not giving attunements? Right, it was 2022 or 23, and the way, and just that, the way that she brought it to me, like it was like a knock on the head, like, why are you not doing this? Right, so she graciously, I got a Reiki attunement from her. She did the master attunement as a just a and which I'm so grateful for, because I actually use the attunement that she brought forward. I felt very connected. It was just slightly different than the attunement that I had received with Melanie, but I felt really connected to it. And whether it was just because I was ready, right? I was ready, so I was ready to dive into that, or just I was waiting for that particular um, process to awaken something. I'm not really sure, but yeah, so I am ever grateful to Barbara. She has opened up so many doors within myself, and then also, outside of myself. So she is definitely one of my most favorite people on the planet. Absolutely.
Thanks for mentioning Barbara. And she is just like, I am in awe of this woman. And she's a woman like you that once she gets interested in something, she's going to go all the way and further. And I mean, this is she's the whole reason that we know each other. You
Yes.
know, I mean, I knew her way back in the day in New York City when she. Here's an example of how incredible this woman is. She lived up in your neighborhood, and south of Buffalo. I don't remember what town exactly, and she would commute to work in Wall Street. And it was, she did that for a very long time. She had a very successful career. And what she was doing was she was like an interface between the computer geeks and then the Wall Street guys, because there'd be constant upgrades in software and stuff, and she would be able to, train them how to use the software in the stock market and stuff. And she came to a Reiki meetup, and I met her, and I was sharing about going to Guatemala. This is back in probably 2011 or 2012. And she that's when she started her teaching. Now, when she taught you, was she using the ICRT manuals?
So it
Did
was
you?
kind of when it wasn't I didn't actually go through a full class with her. She just actually gave me the attunement because I had already been through the class with Melanie. So it was more just sort of, I feel like it was just her way to show me her method of giving the attunements. Um, but
But
but I did learn
did
using, partially the ICRT. Yes.
yeah, because I'm just wondering if you learned that style of attunement, because that's a Sui Tibetan, and there's two Tibetan symbols, uh, the fire serpent and Tibetan Dakimel.
No,
But
I actually do not. No, I do not have those two
Okay,
symbols.
so you got the Takata attunements probably,
Correct.
but it
Correct.
doesn't really matter.
Right.
But I want to back up a little bit, because you mentioned the how you would do distant healing from the shower and your connection with the water element, and I have that too. But one of my teachers, and I didn't work with this guy directly, but Swami Kaleshwar in India, who was a great like miracle master guy. This guy was like just amazing. But I worked with one of his most advanced students, Mohini Arlene Braska, and she, I think it was in one of his books. but his teaching was, you would get activations for all five elements. And in the Hindu system, ether, they call it sky. Um, but there's the air element and the sky element. They're different because the sky is like just like the source field of infinite space. But
Right.
he said that the fire element and the water element are central to existence, and if you understand those, you've solved like a huge mystery. And you had the sun, the fire element, and the water
Yeah.
element, and also the Mahakali mantra has the water element mantra and the fire element mantra in it, and then the bejas for the Sri yantra, and it's,
Right.
it's like such a powerful mantra. And that's why, in order to qualify to do the apprenticeship with me, you have to do the one round of that mantra for 45 days. And it takes like a good half an hour or more to do one round of that mantra
Absolutely.
because it's very long. And Andrea, I mean, you just zipped right through. Did you have like a it took
I
you like a week to get started with it or
yeah.
something?
You
Yeah.
sent me a recording of how to pronounce the mantra, and you sent me the words. So I it took me about a week to memorize, but it came almost effortlessly. Like I've done memorizations and other things, and they've taken me weeks and weeks and weeks, like literally, like ugh. And then if I skipped a day or two, I'd literally have to go back, and it would be so much effort to try. And with the Mahakali mantra, like I even told people then, I was like, I don't know. I must have, there must have been a life when I was, back in those times, and really because it just flowed. And even now, like I'll pick it up every now and then. I haven't done, we did a 45-day again, I think in the beginning of the year, but I really haven't picked it up too much since then. But recently I found myself just reciting it, and I didn't even realize I was saying it, and I was like, oh, I guess I need to recite this mantra here. So
Yeah,
yeah, it is
it's
extremely beautiful.
it's a powerful mantra, and I would have all these release symptoms when I just did a 45-day process a month or two ago and finished, and now I'm doing other mantras. I mean, I do mantras. I did now Saturday morning today. I had the luxury of being able to do like 2 hours of like red light therapy on my thigh, on my kidneys, on my head, and I just
Yeah,
do it for a tune-up. Like I'm a huge red light therapy advocate now. That stuff is amazing, and it's going viral now. I mean, TJ wanted to order one for her sister who has like chronic back pain and back surgery.
yeah,
That mat can, her body with the help of the red light can repair itself.
mm,
And the science on it, the studies and everything, it's just like incredible what it does. And that's light therapy, and that's it's
yeah,
red. That is the root chakra. That
right,
is the energy that connects you with the incredible healing, the incredible blessings from Mother Earth and Mother Nature. And that's why the grounding and being outside in nature is so important, because without that you're a sick puppy. You
yeah,
really are. And with the EMFs now, especially the 5G, it's I wear a pendant that neutralizes most of the 5G, and
yeah,
I had to reactivate the pen once a week. You have to reactivate these,
okay,
and
yeah,
these neutralize about 60 to 70% of the EMFs. Which, living in a city, it's not so bad for you because you're a little more rural up there.
yeah,
But there's you cannot escape the Wi-Fi in a big city. It's everywhere. It's in the
right,
subway. It's in the streets. You're always in this EMFs, and but kind of off on a tangent here. But I want to hear more about your path. And this is already. I mean, you had me practically crying. Learning new stuff about your journey. And I mean, this journey, if you're watching this and if you are interested in what we're doing, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Start with
yeah,
Reiki, because Reiki opens the door to
yeah,
everything. You know,
yeah,
there's a universality to it, and and it's easy and simple. Anybody can learn Reiki. It's not hard at all. If you
yeah,
want to learn it, you can do it. And if you want to
absolutely.
teach it, yeah, can teach it too.
Yeah, you just got to get
Um,
it. You have to have the ability to have this energy running through you, right? And even if your intention is not to, give it to others, which you don't have to, right? Some people are called to do that and others are just want to, have it for themselves and for friends and family, but you don't recognize and understand how life-changing it is once you have the ability to just flow it, once you just say, once you turn that Reiki on, it's flowing through you. You are a vessel and it is doing all of its good magical juju without you having to do a thing, right? That's the beauty
right.
of Reiki. It is an intelligent life force energy. So that's
Yeah.
my yeah, that's
And it enlightens you, to the
yeah,
extent that you practice it and use it in your life. Everything's going to become easier, more effortless,
yeah,
and stuff doesn't bother you so much anymore. And you all the buttons that used to get pushed by people and places and things, all that stuff, just ain't there anymore.
right,
And
yeah,
it's like it's an incredible blessing to have in your life. And that's what the founder, it was Usui, the picture of the guy behind me. He wanted it to be available for everybody, and he was ahead of his time because it didn't really start to spread widely until the 90s.
right.
And and now it's all over the world. It's
Thank
millions and
you.
millions and millions of
Gratitude to
buttons all over.
Usui and rediscovering this beautiful lineage of healing energy, right? That just comes from source. So yeah.
So, yeah, Barbara, I would love to do a Reiki Rock Stars with Barbara because she is truly a Reiki rock star. And what she has done, I mean, the A team, um, that really started with Barbara because
Yeah.
she started telling all her friends, and I've treated like 5 or 6 people that she told. I've trained 5 or 6 people that she told you this modality is amazing. It's the divine feminine, it's divine mother, and angelic. And now I have you and Holly Brooks and Susan Gonsiarek, and now uh,
Diana, you just
Karen,
trained Diana.
Karen Betts, Karen Betts, all channeling
Right.
on the A team,
Yeah.
and it's and you guys are just I mean, I like I have to come up there and do an event with you guys. We have to figure this out and work it out because I want to be able to be up there in person with you and do an event and invite people to the event and
Nice.
maybe a 9 dimensions activation or something, but something where we can at least do a whole day workshop and
Yeah.
together because
Right.
you guys are just amazing up there. I mean, this is the Western New York uh, uh, tribe tribe and they all live in that area south of Buffalo, which was a beautiful, beautiful area. And Andrea, like, I'll get in touch with like, oh, I'm going to Niagara Falls to do ceremony. And I mean that's just one that's like an incredible, huge sacred site, great power, and there's many, many others within like half an hour drive or it's just an amazing area with and you got Lilydale there. I mean,
It's
come on.
incredible, really it
Yeah.
is. It's really it's a part of this area that really hasn't gotten enough uh, traction, so to speak. We're a smaller area. People sometimes have maybe a little bit of a negative thought when they think of Buffalo because all you think of is snow, which we have a little snow here. It's a little gloomy, cloudy, but there's so much here, and um, the indigenous and the spirit, you know. Presence is so strong, and there's so much still that needs to be cleared from the lands here, and that's part of why I've felt very called to set up ceremony in Niagara Falls for the healing. I mean, what a greater place than at the just before the falls we hold this ceremony, and so like all of that water that is rushing over, right, that's getting pushed out through, down through Lake Ontario, then down through, into the Hudson River, into the to the ocean. So like that water flows throughout the entire world eventually, right? And so what a great place to offer ceremony, healing, and medicine, so that that the encanto, the raw power of that magical place it can just spread far and wide, all of that love. So yeah, I've actually just started planning my 4th annual Niagara Falls event. It's actually going to coincide this year with the summer solstice, just because of it's June. I was holding it in July, and it was difficult time for people to go away in the summer. They have summer parties, and so yeah, that'll be interesting. I'll be putting that out there soon, and yeah, I'm excited about all of
So
that.
are there tribal activities in your area? Is it like a powwow that you can go to? And what tribe is I
So
know that
there's
the
Senecas are pretty prevalent. We have some reservation lands dotted throughout this area. I personally have not attended any ceremonial type things. There's because of the relationship between the state and the tribal nations, there's still a lot of mistrust and distrust within the indigenous communities. So I would say that I haven't seen where they've been very as far as being, open and out there for all to attend. There is, it just hasn't come into my awareness. But there is a feeling that sometime in the future, I don't know if it's, I don't know when that might be, but of reaching out to the tribal communities and offering an exchange of ceremony, or offering a way to, come together in ceremony, in honor of, let's just heal each other and be, humans together.
yeah, it's really crucial that that relationship between the indigenous people and modern society really get healed. And there's a lot of that is happening. It's been happening for a long time. I remember back in the 60s and 70s, the tribal elders were like really upset that there weren't enough youth that were um, really staying in the traditions, the great medicine traditions. And then us white kids got really interested in it, and that started, and people like Carlos Castaneda and who's the guy that wrote uh, there were a couple people, writers, and that really got initiated into shamanic traditions, and that really brought the teachings into the the modern society. But that's that's one reason why our work in Guatemala was so rewarding, is because we work with indigenous Mayans, and they taught us their medicine and we taught them our medicine, Reiki and ear acupuncture and stuff that they could learn quickly and easily for their own communities. And that Guatemala is an incredibly beautiful place. We were at Lake Atitlan, which is one of the most beautiful sacred sites in the world. And I am so glad that I had an opportunity to do those things. And that I mean the work that Dan Wunderlich has done there is like world class. I mean, he just got honored. He had a mobile van that would they'd have a young acupuncturist, and then with a bunch of people that were trained by actually one of my students, Mila Brenner, has 60 Reiki students in Guatemala, and she actually initiated teachers there too. And she was going on all dance trips. And when TJ and I went on one of his trips, we treated 1,500 people in 10 days. And we gave them Chinese herbs. We taught them, everything that we could during that time. And
Mhm.
we had a photographer and a writer to document
Wow,
everything. And this is
amazing.
Dan is like an incredible organizer.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
and
yeah.
he has like a very lucrative acupuncture practice, and a lot of the money that he makes goes right back into Guatemala to his services there. And
Wonderful.
but yeah, he was just honored by the New York State what do they call it? The Acupuncture Society for doing incredible charity work for
Nice.
Indigenous people, and we it's we have to get back to nature. I mean, we're like the One of my favorite teachers is, very much, and actually, in your shamanic tradition, you told me that there is a teaching about the extraterrestrial
Oh yeah.
humans, but and like we get a lot of help from ETs, which most people are totally, absolutely unaware of because they see that we're ruining our planet, that we're not a functional culture globally because we are destroying our planet, and that has to stop. I mean, it's like it's crucial, and it's like it's really a huge crisis right now
Yeah.
with strip mining and with the just like the incredible greed and rape, rob, and plunder mentality that is yeah, and nuclear weapons. It's like that has to end, and we have to have world peace. And we are going to have world peace, and it's going to come in faster than most people can imagine. But and we are gonna. It's going to take a long time to get this planet cleaned up. We're supposed to be the custodians, the caretakers of this planet,
Right.
not the rapers of this planet.
Right.
And this is a mass insanity. You know, the wars are mass trauma events. It's a form of mass insanity that
Yeah.
has to stop. And it's this is a huge tipping point. So and the work that you and I do and millions of other people, both young and old, are doing now is the solution, to get back into harmony with nature. And that is one of the biggest missing pieces of spirituality in the West is the shamanic thing, because we're too much up in our heads. It's all these concepts and philosophies and everything. And indigenous people, there's no scripture for that. The scripture is nature itself.
Right.
That is the teacher, is nature, Mother Nature, the sun, the birds, the animals. The animals, the power animals. I learned about power animals back in the 80s. That's where I got the deer medicine from, was learning
Right.
about the Huichol tribe in southern Mexico
Right.
and their connection with the deer spirit. But deer spirit Reiki. That
Yeah.
is that the deer medicine is the spirit of Reiki because deer is love, and
Right.
Reiki is love. But
Yeah.
I'm talking too much. I'm really sorry. But I get excited, and it's just wonderful just to share. And how are we doing on time? It's uh, it's 11 o'clock, right? You know, we the last couple episodes we went about 90 minutes, but I want to hear about your shamanic journey. And it started with Barbara and the amazing work that you're doing with the Pachakuti Mesa tradition. And so you have been to Peru several times.
Yeah.
How did that start? How did it evolve?
So through Barbara, I'll give you the sort of the abridged version until I was introduced to the Pachakuti Mesa tradition. Barbara had offered. I had taken a workshop where I received the Munai key rites, which are 9 rites of Peruvian tradition that were actually brought forward by Alberto Vallaldo. He's of the Four Winds Society, so a lot of people will recognize his name. And that was through doing the Munaiki rites. Part of it was, again, I'm a teacher at heart, so when it was understood that I could actually teach these rites, all I had to do was undergo um, fire meditations for a number of days on each of the different archetypal energies that basically correlated with the chakra system. So I did these, and this was really my first real introduction to um, meeting and associating with spirit helpers through meditation. Right, I had to, and I didn't know what I was doing, so it felt strange and weird, but as I got used to the process, I loved it. So I started teaching, completed that, started teaching the Munaiki rites immediately, like jump in and I'm going to do this. So through this, and my connection with Barbara, she used to hold Reiki guided Reiki meditation circles about once a month. And she would hold different workshops all the time. I took everything that I could from that woman. She was just, I was so attracted to what she was bringing forward. And then she introduced me to the PMT, the Pachakuti Mesa tradition. She was going through an apprenticeship, and I was, involved in some of her workshops and different things as she was going through this apprenticeship. And it just sounded so fascinating, right? You have a mesa, a healing altar space that you can work with that just sounded so intriguing. And so as it were, she became a sanctioned teacher of the lineage. That is the originator of that lineage is Don Oscar Miro Queseda. He is actually Peruvian born. He has an American mother and had a Peruvian father, but he grew up in Peru. So she became a sanctioned teacher, and she offered me the opportunity several times to take the apprenticeship, and just never really worked out. Like, I had it, my youngest was still going through school there, and there's a money aspect to involved. Like, I had to be ready to step into investing in myself in the way that was necessary. So it was 2021. We were still dealing with the after effects of the pandemic. Things were still a little bit crazy. And my youngest was in college, and I suddenly have time, and I said yes. Um, and it was the very first weekend so it's 5 weekends over the course of a year. So we gather together on a Friday evening, a full day Saturday, and then we finish the Sacred Lodge on Sunday early afternoon. So after the first weekend, which is a call to heal, right? I was hooked. Like, I had a fire burning in me like no other. And it became crystal clear that I was called to teach this also. And so over the course of the 5 weekends throughout the year that I was apprenticing under Barbara, she would keep us informed, because Don Oscar has intensive retreats, usually once or twice a year throughout the country. And one of the prerequisites of becoming a teacher was you had to be in Sacred Lodge with him for at least one of these weekends. Well, I ended up going to 3 before I actually was indoctrinated as a sanctioned teacher myself. And then I've now been on a total of 5 Don Oscar retreats, and it's transformative. And it's like medicine that you've never experienced. You have 70 to 80 people in a room creating all of this huge medicine, and a lot of that is also, yes, we are sending the love, and we're coming together to heal Pachamama and heal what ails, what's happening in this 3D world. But it's also, we are calling in the celestial heavenly bodies, right? Our star guides, our star nations, and all of the relations that are so much bigger than us, right? That we're so small and dense here on Earth, that sometimes it's hard for us to to imagine the expansion of what's actually really out there. And so being in these retreats really allows you to feel and to see how it's so possible that, the more people that gather in these big open spaces and are just sending out love. It's all just about love, right? Opening up the heart space and sending out absolute love. I used to call it unconditional love, but I've changed it to absolute love, because I just feel like that really embodies. Has some sort of a negative connotation somehow. And so for me, it's sending the absolute love. And my journey to becoming a sanctioned teacher was nothing short of miraculous. I feel like once I put the work into it, and from the time that Barbara notified Don Oscar, because he actually has to connect and confer with the lineage of the tradition, which his teachers, who have both since passed from this world, but he goes and he connects with them, and they confer, and they decide whether or not a person is ready, willing, and able. And so I was so fortunate to get the email from Oscar while I was in Peru. Connected, we were on a pilgrimage with Barbara, and most of my hoop was there. And that's when I found out in 2022 that I was accepted into the sanctioned body of teachers through the lineage. And it was just nothing short of, just humbling, and talk about emotional. Like I was more, it was even more special because Barbara was the very first person that I told that I had received this, because we were together in Machu Picchu at the time. So, like, all of
Wow.
these things that happen, like, it's amazing. Spirit just puts it in your path, like you were saying earlier. And so that was 2022. We're now 2025, and I am in the precipice of creating my fourth hoop. So it's going to be starting in March. So I've already taught 3 full apprenticeships since becoming a sanctioned teacher. And I absolutely love every minute of it. I am a teacher at heart. I was meant to be put on this planet to be a teacher and to see people. I think these are my 2 greatest gifts that I have, in welcoming anyone into stepping into their path, whatever that is. So that's a little bit of my shamanic, juicy, yeah, transformation.
Yeah, and that you are the real deal. You are a real medicine woman, 100%. And it's an honor to know you and to be a part of your world, have you be a part of my world. It's the community, to have community, which we have with our A team. And even though we don't get together physically, that experience of channeling together is, to me, it's like it's always the highlight of every 2 weeks we do this. And it's just like it's hard to put into words the feeling. But I mean, we had there was 15 channelers in the session the other night, and it just keeps getting bigger and better. And it's the ripple effect is like massive. We
Yeah,
have over 200 people receiving the healing. And I always tell those people, you're part of the healing too. You're
yeah,
not just receiving, you're transmitting the healing out to the world, and that's what it's all about. It's the ripple effect, because we live in a quantum universe, and everything that we do, every thought, every action, every belief, everything that we do has a vibrational resonance in the grid. And like you were saying earlier, uh, there's no separation in
right.
nature, in the universe. Everything is connected. Everything is intimately linked. And when you really realize that, you realize, like, we need to be responsible. You
Yeah,
know, we need to be consciously aware of what we're emanating, what we're putting out into the world, because what you put out comes back to you. You know, what you give is what you get.
yeah,
And to be able to be instruments for the one infinite creator, for great spirit, whatever you want, God, whatever you want to call it,
right.
um, that is the highest privilege that you can have in life. I was listening to a video of a woman that really works in the Christian tradition, and she telling a story about how once she got right with God, and in her Christian tradition, it's God the Father, and that's what works for her, and I totally get that.
Yeah, sure.
With us, with Angelic Liquid Light, it's more like the mother, she who gives birth to all this. It's all good, it's all fine.
Right.
But Angelic Light has the masculine energies too. You can't have one without the other, the yin and the yang. But
Absolutely.
but she was talking about how when she really got into surrender, into that, and this is not just giving up. Surrender means letting go and letting the divine run your life. And then you can't have a lot of ego and do that at the same time. But this woman would literally get a message from God, and God would say, "Okay, you're going to go to Europe." She's like, "How can I do that? I don't have any money," and the money would just appear.
Right.
And this happened over and over and over again in her life, until she finally realized, okay, I just got to do what I'm told to
Yeah.
do. But
Right.
and you know that that God the Father, or whatever you want to call your heart, it's not separate from you. It's within you. It's inside
Right.
of you. And so
100%.
um, that's why you can't lose that.
Right.
But literally, everything that you need in life will be given to you, and even better than you can imagine. This is something that I experience on a daily basis in my life. Everything that you need and want will be given to you, as long as it's benevolent, as long as it's not causing any harm. You
Right.
will be able to get it, and probably better than you can imagine, if you learn how to stay out of your own way with your doubts
Right.
and your fears and and you mentioned like feeling like you're a what was the phrase you used, that the I actually wrote a piece about the syndrome of like feeling that you're a fit, you're not good enough.
Oh,
um
imposter syndrome. The
the
imposter
imposter
syndrome.
syndrome.
Yeah.
And I have a student that was one of my apprentices, that I kind of coached her through that, so that and she's actually brilliant, one of the coolest, smartest, most beautiful souls I've ever met. And she felt that she was an imposter. But that's conditioning. That's a
Yeah.
lie. That's not the
Yeah.
truth. You're not an
Right.
imposter. You're a perfect, divine, immortal spirit soul.
I
But
feel really, yeah, I feel really called to bring into this right now, because it's, we are in a chaotic time, right? A lot of people are feeling one way or the other, and it doesn't matter what the reason or what the cause, right? It's just there's forces out there that want us to feel in this particular way, want us to be, confused, want us to not really know, what direction is, up, down, left, right, center. So one of the other things that I have really come to recognize is just, getting outside of, like, just recognizing that you have the ability to get outside of that, right? It's hard, it's not super easy, but part of that is just remembering your joy, right? Like, what in life brings you joy? Like, yeah, turn off the TV or turn off the radio and sit and, color in a coloring book if you haven't done that in, 15 or 20 years. It's so cathartic. Or get into nature and connect with the trees and talk to the trees. All of these things also, we are on this planet and we have made this soul contract because it is such a sensual experience, right? In every sense of the manner, that we absolutely should experience all of it. And then, but we also have to, with that comes the density of, conditioning and things, and taking on energies that don't belong to us, and generational traumas and all of those things. And those are the things that if we work on releasing, the whole wide world it's such a beautiful place to be, right? It's not as horrific as everybody might make it out to seem. Like, you can walk out of doors and breathe the air and smile because you're here, you're alive. So yeah, that's just something that I just felt really called to share. So thank you.
thank you for sharing that. Um, so in your shamanic practice, now we know the Reiki is healing touch. So if you're going to do a shamanic healing, how would you go about that? They say somebody comes to you and they feel um, they have some kind of chronic pain or disease or issue or something. What are you going to do with them?
Sure. Yeah, I love this question. So the shamanic healing is, and with the Pachakuti Mesa tradition, so you go through the apprenticeship, and then I went into a deeper apprenticeship to become a certified shamanic healer. And we work with 5 different energies. And just so there's a lot of Quechua, which is the indigenous peoples, the Quero peoples language. Okay. And these are the ones who have kept the tradition, the Peruvian traditions, and lineages alive throughout these years. And so we work with what we call is Kausai, which is earth healing energy. And we work with Kanshai, which is the celestial light energy, which I liken to be Reiki. They're synonymous to me, but it's called Kanshai in the PMT. And then those two actually converge and create this bubbly, beautiful essence that is called Sami. It's this animating essence. And that is created within the heart space of the shaman, the shamanic practitioner, and also the recipient, right? So we work on, we can heal at the physical level using kausai, or we can work at the emotional level, which we work with uh, Sami. Uh, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's not Sami Umai. It's um, yeah, Sami. Okay, I'll come back to that. Isn't that crazy how things happen like that? We work in the spiritual level, calling in Kanchai, and we work in the healing in the mental areas, and we use Sami Umai. And then at the soul level, right? Someone who has really lost themselves, who maybe feels that they do not want to be on planet, or they're just ready to give it up. We work with an energy called Ianunai. And so each of these different energies, we channel by chanting direct, by using different mudras and different things, and we channel into specific places on the body. And it's such a powerful healing that it's actually generally a short. The process itself is not super long, but usually what I would do in a shamanic healing session is we would have that conversation to figure out exactly where the healing needs to be coming from and sent to, and then do that process. And then I usually, to give the body space and time, would either follow that up with like Reiki or angelic liquid light, or a combination of both, so that the recipient, because these energies are going to stay within the recipient over the next several weeks. And so it's a way for their body to accept and to start the transformations and the transmutations. Now, there's certain situations in shamanic healing where if the situation that exists can be righted, it will. But there's also, genetic situations and predisposed conditions that that are not meant to be touched at this time. Those will, there's not much that as a shaman we can do other than offer, peace, love, tranquility, and those things. But I've had a lot of really wonderful feedback from a lot of people during these shamanic healing sessions, where, after several days, I'll usually contact you and be like, hey, how you feeling? And I'll get some really great responses. And usually just like Reiki or angelic liquid light, you may need to come back next week or a month, or sometimes they're really hard pressed situations, but you have to let your body and your energetic field receive these and do the transmutation. Give yourself time. The thing with energetic healing is it's not like Western medicine where you take a pill and supposedly, all your problems are gone. This is a work in progress. You are as much a part of your own healing in any energetic healing modality as the facilitator who is channeling or bringing this medicine to you. So, for folks who are looking for that, want to cure their cancer and have it gone from their body in a week, that's not gonna happen, right? Or clear a trauma that was a persistent traumatic experience for years and years, maybe in formative life. A one and done is not going to do the trick, right? You need to allow your body time to unfold and bring up what was meant to be healed, and then go back in and see where more things need to take place. So, and that is
Yeah.
really what a healer does. We can sense that and help with that.
Yeah. And I was doing the Reiki Rock Stars with Wendy Lipson last night, and she's been doing energy work for 50 years. She started with therapeutic touch in 1975, but just an incredible, amazing woman. But we were talking about how, you know, when you get to work with people over long periods of time, and I have a client that I've been treating practically weekly since 2009. You know, it's a long time. Um, it's you get to see them just get better and better and better, and oh, I wanted to mention there are simple, easy things that we can do that have tremendous medicine power, like connecting with the sun. You know, for TJ and I, it's like the beach is our spa. You know, and surf, sun, and sand, the
Yeah.
three S's. It's incredible medicine. But I have somebody I've been working with for several years that came to me during the pandemic, having remembered that she was being raped, and as a very young, very young child, over and over again. And you know, she is just getting better and better and better. But you know, that is a horrific trauma
Yeah.
that she carried, that she had somehow managed to carry, you know, and encapsulate and kind of put on the shelf until during the pandemic she was finally ready to heal it.
Yeah.
And she's an older woman, but she'll have these really hard times when she can't sleep and the trauma's coming up, and usually within 5 or 10 minutes, we'll do a couple prayers and I'll say, okay, now give me a gratitude list, you know,
Right.
just a
Yeah.
gratitude list. So,
Absolutely.
and then she gives me like 10 things she's grateful for, and then she just feels so much better
Right.
because
Right.
that took her out of that stuck place where it was just fear, you know, there's just fear, and she's back in the victim mode, and you know, and that is something that you know, she can't she can't think her way out of it, you know. um and she gets in this frozen state, and but then and she has, if she can't get in touch with me, she has multiple other people. I mean, she has a friend in London that she can call in the middle of the night, you know. But
Nice.
she has a really great support network, and she's a Reiki rock star in her own right. This is a
Yeah.
woman that has also trained in, and is actually a very gifted healer, and it was a mainstream medicine medical doctor for a long time until she realized that wasn't really her path. But you know, it's to do this work. One of my favorite things is to have people like her that that uh, you know, a lot of other healers don't want to work on that level. And for,
Right.
you know, I like to work in the trenches. I like to work with people that are really, I mean, look at me, my own story. I was homeless for 6 years, living in the street, you know, and just trying to get enough money to get high every day. And you know, that was part of my boot camp training to be a healer.
Right.
And I've had many people come to me that are were in the same kind of shape that I was in. And you know, it's a miracle that I'm still alive, and not just alive, but like thriving. And
Right.
I want to see my people, even the worst of the worst, I want to see them thrive. And you can't do that with like just waving a crystal at them or something, you
Right.
know. They need constant support, constant care, and a lot of praise, you know, a lot of love, honor, and praise, so that they can start to feel good about themselves. And you know, I will love you until you can love yourself, and I'll still love you after that. But then
Yeah.
you'll be
That's,
able to help other people, you know,
yeah.
because you got back in touch with who you really are, and that's
Yeah.
always a good thing. Yeah, that is
I,
never a bad thing.
I think that's one of the reasons why we resonate so well together, because that statement that you just said, Jordy, really embodies exactly what I truly believe, right? I will love you until you see exactly what I see, because there's so much to love. So I just thank you for that. That's just so sweet. That's beautiful medicine. And people do need to hear that. And I fully, people don't always hear that, or they've been in situations where that's not something that they've been ever heard, possibly. And yeah, so I'm grateful that you and I have that same resonance.
That's what we get to do, and it's and the other beautiful thing about this path is that It is a path. It's like the journey itself is the reward, and there's no real finish line because there's always more. We can always keep learning and growing and experiencing and sharing. And it is incredibly rewarding and fulfilling. And your whole life just gets better, every aspect of it. Your intimate relationships, your relationships with the planet, with the cosmos, with the, and like I was saying before, it's like you just fall deeply in love with life itself, which is just the fact that you're alive and we have this existence is a miracle. Each one of us is like a walking, living, breathing miracle. And
Yeah,
that energy that is beating your heart and breathing your breath is everywhere all the time. It is
yeah,
the divinity itself. It is it is the great spirit. It is love. It is wisdom. It is everything. And you
yeah.
can't escape it. So why not embrace it? You know?
Right.
It's
Totally.
impossible. You can't escape it. Beingness you know, is infinite and eternal.
Yeah.
And that is freedom, that is freedom. That is self-realization. And that's what it's all about. And I am grateful to you to have you in my life. You're the real deal, Andrea.
Thank
You are a amazing, wonderful medicine woman, and I love you. And it feels like things are coming to a conclusion now, just kind of naturally
I
and
feel like
organically, because
absolutely it
we
does. It sure does.
we've it's almost exactly 90 minutes. There's that
Right.
nine. Let's
Right.
just it's 11:27. Let's go another 3 minutes so that we can make it.
Well, let me just say, Jordy, I just want to say sing your praises a little bit because you have taught me so much over the past, few short years that we've known each other, and I've learned a lot about myself through um, not only this, the ability to now have the ability to channel this angelic liquid light, but also, learning about myself through your eyes doing the apprenticeship with you. I really, there was some challenging aspects for me in that. And I really, I'm grateful that I had your guidance to show me like, hey, you had sort of a mirror, like, hey, what is your actual plan here, right? And so I had to really dig deep and decide, right? And the answer was always going to be, well, you're going to complete this. To you're going to have completed this in a successful manner, right? That was always what my burning heart desire was. And so, and through all of that, right, your compassion, your love, your ability to, pour that love, and to show me, and to guide me into being my best self, even, even more. I'm so grateful that, that we have this connection and that you are in my life. And, you know, looking forward, the possibility of us coming together to work together in the future, that, you know, I'm all about, I love doing collaborative work. And so we'll see how that, how that plays out. Who knows? But I just want to offer to everyone out there also, if if Jordy is in your realm and your circle, you know what I'm talking about. He just exudes this beauty, and everything that he says is through love, and his connection to spirit is beyond, like, I've seen firsthand, when he's done healing sessions on myself, his intuitive side is so tapped in, right, to a level that I'm in awe of. And so I just need to also, make sure everyone recognizes and understand that you are the ultimate Reiki rock star also, right? So I love that you're doing these interviews, and you also deserve the kudos and the shout outs from all of us that you are, interviewing. So I
Thank you so
applaud.
much. And it's like I gratefully I love to I'm a Leo. I love to I love to be praised and honored and appreciated and applauded for. And and when I was first starting, I had a lack of confidence too, and I was just craving to get test. I was like, "Can you write me a testimonial? Oh, you really experienced benefit from that session. Please, can you?" And I don't really need that anymore. And I have like dozens and dozens of testimonials all over my website. And like, it's like, thank you for, your love. I really appreciate that. And I see, I feel the same way about you. I got your number early on. I said, this woman is the real deal. I mean, she is really has a wonderful heart, a wonderful, beautiful mind, and she is like a a real medicine woman in like the truest sense. And I can't wait until we do the next thing together.
Yeah.
Whether it's we'll be doing the winter solstice thing, and we have to plan doing an event. And I want to be able to combine angelic with light and the shamanism and all, and have it be like just like a deeply transformative celebration
Yeah.
and activation and ceremony and all that great stuff. I used to do these at Madison Wellness, and I'd make this big altar in the center of the floor, and we'd circle up around it. We'd do the prayers together, and I do the 9 dimensions activation guided meditation thing, and but we'll figure it out, and we'll all you and me and Holly and Susan, and now we have Diana, who
Uh-huh.
actually
Yeah.
channeled with us, and
Yeah.
who's really starting her own practice,
Awesome.
and whoever else wants to join us. But and the you being really my first teacher. Now Jane is actually initiated as a teacher too, but she hasn't had a chance to teach yet. But you were the first one of my apprentices that actually is teaching angelic light, and I can't put into words how much that means to me. That is just such a you're just an incredible blessing in my life. And I know that, like, Andrea, uh,
You
I promise I won't call you Andrea anymore. Andrea,
good.
you have my total trust. I know that when you teach angelic with light, you're going to give that student everything they need. You're going to do it in a beautiful way, and you'll transmit this blessing, and through the angel wing activation to whoever you teach. And that is legacy for me. And that to have legacy as an elder, that's what it's all about. Because this body is not going to last forever. Well, I want it to last like at least another 30, 40, 50
Right.
years, but we'll see. It's not, that's up to
The
the wonderful creator,
divine powers,
to
right?
me. Yeah, and when this body is gone, I'll still be around, but I want to have a whole bunch of people, that keep passing this on to the upcoming generations.
Absolutely.
And
And I want to,
so
can I shout out to the two? Because you're a grandfather, you're an Angelic Liquid Light grandfather. And the first woman that I transmitted the energy to was Lisa Pavanka, and she's kind of in her own personal spiritual quest right now, sort of inward. And then the most recent one was Karen Betts, and I know she's very interested in learning as much as she can and being active with it. So those ladies, I'm super excited that they put the trust in me to learn the modality. So yeah, Jordy's a grandpa.
yeah, I'm a Reiki grandpa now. I'm an angelic liquid light grandpa, and that's the best feeling in the world for me, because I don't have biological kids, but I got spiritual kids, and they're my Reiki children, my Reiki grandchildren, and my angelic liquid light children and grandchildren. And on that note, um, this has been so much fun, and it felt so good to do this with you. I kind of sad that it's over, but we have to realize that people have limited attention spans, and we don't
Right.
want to give, we don't want to take up too much of your time. But thank you again, Andrea. And I'm so glad we did this. And I need a bio from you. I need a
Okay.
bio and your links so I can put it underneath the
I'll get
YouTube
that.
thing. So when you have a chance, please give that to me. And
Sure.
it doesn't have to be really short. There's lots of space underneath the video on the YouTube composer thing, and you
Okay.
can do 2 or 3 paragraphs and put all your links and everything. So
Beautiful.
And so you can, this can work for you, and you'll be able to put the video up on your social media and your website and everything.
Nice. Yay. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I love you,
Yeah.
and keep me posted.
I will, absolutely. All right. Love you, Jordy.
Bye-bye.